Someone tell me why it took me about 2/3 of this movie before I was like, wait, is that Jacob Elordi?
Victor Frankenstein.
In this tale, a brilliant scientist brings a monstrous creature to life in a daring experiment that ultimately leads to the undoing of both creator and his tragic creation. We all know the basics of the story of Frankenstein, right? Because I don't know about you guys, but I was really excited for this movie this year. And you know, I love how the story and themes of Frankenstein stay relevant to this day. Like, what does it mean to create life? What responsibilities do creators owe their creations? What are the consequences of neglect? What are the consequences of ambition? And the whole emotional duality of it all. All good stuff that makes for a compelling and thought-provoking story, and let me tell you, this film, at the very least, resonates with it all. So let's get into it. Frankenstein is produced, written, and directed by Guillermo del Toro, who is a big fan of monsters in general, and he tends to find beauty in the grotesque and celebrate imperfection. Who could be a better guy to take on this new rendition of Frankenstein, you may ask? It's him. It's all him. So let's get into some of the positives I have for 2025 Frankenstein. One of the most obvious parts of this film, and I think it's something I'm sure many people have been raving about, is just the beauty of it all. Every setting in this entire film is picturesque in its own way, from the vast snowy mountains and snowfallen scenes to the purple flowered meadows where the horse-drawn carriages ride through, to the stunning architecture depicted within Frankenstein's majestic estate as a child, as well as his stunning Gothic tower where he creates life, even to the dark, dingy quarters where the creature first dwells. Every detail is meticulous and atmospheric. The costumes are just perfection, and the style of talking resembles a different time. This is set in the mid-19th century, but even though they still speak with a certain different dialect than we're used to, I think it's easier for the viewer to digest. I think that Del Toro's film doesn't just depict an era, it breathes it. Everything here, lighting, set design, costumes, composition, work in harmony to immerse us in a world where Gothic horror and tragic romanticism coexist. I love that about this movie. Add on to that the performances here, which is another huge positive of this movie for me. I mentioned I didn't even know that the creature was Jacob Elordi until literally the end of this film. Towards the end of the film is when I even questioned to myself, wait, is that him? It took me so long to figure that out. Talk about impressive. I think that he is the revelation of the film. His creature is truly unrecognizable in the best of ways, and not just simply because of the makeup, the pale, dead-looking scarred face, but because of his embodiment of the creature and his embodiment of being caught in between two worlds, life and death. I feel that his performance is emotionally precise. Well done. Not only did I like the acting of the role, but I really love the creature design here. I thought they made the creature look far more organic and less stylized than the classic popularized square-headed version you might see like in the stores. Going back to some of the acting, obviously I think Mia Goth is a standout as well, and I was really excited to see her in this movie. I didn't know she was in it. For some reason, I didn't know Jacob was in it, but I think that her presence really does fit the period effortlessly, and her wardrobe is absolutely fabulous, which is very important. But of course, Oscar Isaac as Victor Frankenstein delivers the standout performance. I think he captures the arrogance and the fear, yet tenderness of the character of Victor really well. And his relationship with the creature is quite interesting, and I love watching it unfold. There's this moment that I thought was kind of funny when he first creates the creature, and the creature keeps picking up things and knives and stuff, and he's like, drop, drop, drop. And I couldn't help but picture my lab, my dog, when he eats trash, drop. And it's just so funny to see Victor so at odds with the creature and himself, because he expected it to just be super intelligent right off the bat, and he's frustrated that it's childlike, that it's kind of dog-like, that it doesn't really understand what it is in its place. And I think that the movie does a really great job of showing us this creature-creator relationship, which is really the crux of the film, so I love that. What makes the relationship even more interesting, though, is that the film is broken up into two main parts, Victor's tale and the creature's tale. So we get the perspective of both characters, two sides of the same tragedy, if you will. Victor's narrative is one of ambition and guilt and denial, and the creature is more so one of awakening and yearning and rejection, but also rage. The structure that they give the movie, I think, gives us kind of a rare sense of narrative completeness, and I think that's an excellent standout part of the movie. And yet, the few moments that we do get of gore, I think, are potent. I think when the film goes violent, it goes all in, which I love. A couple moments that stick out to me when Victor is assembling the creature. I love this scene. It's almost visceral. It's almost really gross and graphic, and the effects look great. But the music behind it is almost uplifting, like he's so excited to get this experiment off the ground. It's something he's been wanting to do forever. He finally has the way to do it. I think the scene is magnificent. And another one that sticks out to me as far as the gore, Wolves, anyone? If you've seen the movie? That was pretty intense. Let's just say, don't f with the creature. Finally, I love the ending of the film. The fractured relationship between Victor and the creature gives the story its weight. There's this redemption arc for Victor that doesn't seem forced or unattainable, and the ending ends on a more hopeful note than the original book, and I thought that the story wrapped up in a reasonable yet ambiguous way. Brilliant. Moving on to some negatives for me, I did think that the creature's immortality pushed a little bit too far. Even though the creature's superhuman strength is rooted in the novel, I think that the film's portrayal of the near absolute immortality, including surviving an explosion like dynamite, was a big stretch. The thing that I do love about this movie and Frankenstein in general is that even though there are these supernatural, superhuman parts, the film still feels very much grounded in realism to me, in kind of a scientific stretched realism. So with the whole absolute immortality, I think this took me out of the film a little bit. I think that went a little too far. I also felt that the Elizabeth creature bond was a tad bit unconvincing to me, at least how they did it in the movie, this rendition of the movie. The implication of this romantic tension or this emotional intimacy between Elizabeth and the creature appears almost too sudden for me. I didn't feel like we got a good build-up or development leading into it. I don't think it had enough foundation for how it unravels in the end and the immense bond that they do feel. I didn't quite get there. Another small part that was a little bit underdeveloped for me was how the film moved so quickly from Victor's childhood to his adulthood. I felt like we did miss some essential emotional and philosophical growth for the character. And further, what the f was up with the Dark Angel? I don't know. It was a weird thing for him to put all of his faith in, and how they did it in the movie. I didn't love it, but it's not a huge damper either. It's just kind of there. It was kind of a moment where I was a little bit like, I don't know about that. One more nitpick here. I didn't love the CGI for the animals, the deer and the wolves particularly. I felt like the practical effects in this movie were so good that when we saw the animals, it was a tad bit disruptive. But that's a pretty minor nitpick. But overall, guys, I thought the film was pretty spectacular on a bunch of different fronts. It's a slow burn, a period piece, but it demands your attention with the great use of cinematography, excellent acting, a great narrative structure, and a lot of emotional depth. Despite some of its flaws, I do think this Frankenstein does stand tall as a powerful reinterpretation of the classic tale. I think it honors the emotional and philosophical spirit of the novel while carving out its own identity. Well done. I will give this a 4 out of 5. There were a couple stretches for me, like the immortality of the creature, the Elizabeth creature bond, and the Dark Angel, but I'm impressed with how beautifully this film came together. I think on a lot of fronts it is pretty masterful. But let's see what the general consensus is. Okay, I am seeing a 90% of Google users like this movie, 85% Rotten Tomatoes, 7.5 out of 10 IMDb. It looks like this has been very well received by the audience, and I'm not surprised. I'm unfortunately not seeing like a 1 through 5 bar that I normally see, the spread. But this gives me a good idea of just a general sense of how the film has been received, and it's obviously been received well, so that makes me very happy that a lot of people are liking this, because I can tell that time was put into this, every little detail. I think it's really fabulous, and I'd be really sad if this movie flopped, although with a movie like that, there's no chance. So guys, check out this film on Netflix if you haven't seen it already. I know it's been out for quite some time now, or at least a month or so. If you love the story of Frankenstein, or even if you just enjoy like a period piece of mid-19th century sort of setting in a movie, or if you just appreciate cinematic excellence, which I know you guys do, or enjoy an emotional, hopeful yet tragic story, this movie's for you. Give it a go. My only warning to you is I would say it's kind of a slow burn. It's definitely set in a different time, so find that attention span and give it a go, because I think that you'll find at least a good handful of things that are really good and that you like about this movie. After all, It's not perfect, but neither is the creature, and that's what makes the movie so compelling. But those are my thoughts. What do you guys think? Did you guys like Frankenstein? How do you think it compares to other renditions of Frankenstein's? I'd love to know your thoughts. Let me know, and thank you guys for watching, and catch me next time. Peace.